Hi everybody, I hope you have a lovely sunshiny day, or whichever way you prefer your weather. I personally love rain. There is nothing as good as being in your own home, snug and dry, with the rain pounding on your roof, or when you're outside to actually smell the wet earth. I just love it. I do not even mind getting wet. I said that one day someone will see this old woman, arms wide open, dancing in the rain, and cart her off to a padded cell. Well, que sera, sera. Okay, I watched the Commonwealth Day Service yesterday. Catherine looked really beautiful, as always. I'm not too fond of that UFO hat, but it suited the outfit. Please, my friends, don't come for me. I'm someone who believes that Catherine will look good in a trash bag, but I think that she will look even better with a couple of inches off her hair. I love long hair, and hers are always clean and neat, but it really needs some life blown into it. The lighter color dulls it and took the shine, and the really long hair sometimes drags her down a bit. You know, more Yoko Ono than a fairy princess. But hey, I mean, she looked stunning. There's just no two ways about it. I'm just commenting this because it's pure habit, because I was a dressmaker and I just loved styling my clients, and I would say 9 out of 10 times they loved my suggestions, or they would come back and say, you know what, you were right, it looked good. So I'm just saying. Then I have a question for you. Everyone always wears brooches on the left side. Is there any reason why Camilla wore her brooch on the right side? Or did she just pin it on in the mirror? Any ideas? Now, Edward and Sophie did not attend because apparently, allegedly, they are in Italy for the Paralympics. I saw a photograph of Edward there. I did not see one of Sophie, but I'll just take their word for it for now. Okay, so let's get to Charles. Sorry, guys. He really looked horrible. He is literally shrinking in front of our eyes. Now, I know he has more or less always had sausage fingers, but his hands, and in particular his one hand, was so swollen that it actually bulged against the cuff of his sleeve. I think it is likely only my imagination, but somehow I could always tell how sick someone is by their color and smell. Well, King Charles again had some foundation on, but I received a couple of photographs from a subscriber taken before this event, and the true color of his face and those truly swollen hands are connected in only one way, and that is indeed cardiovascular. Separately, they can be, due to a number of things, different things. But together, they unfortunately do indicate poor blood circulation caused by maybe blockages or other heart issues. I do not know what to tell you except that it was black on white when I looked it up to try and support or confirm what I was told. And it actually reads, cancer treatment can cause a build-up of fluids in the hands and feet. So that was likely why chemo was stopped. We all know what happens when fluid builds up around the lungs or heart or inside the lungs and heart. I think that from the end of March we'll see Charles less and less. Like the Queen, he'll likely only poke his head out for very important occasions. But we'll see. I hate making predictions on this kind of thing. What I cannot help but talk about are the Republic protesters outside the Abbey. It is not my imagination that the group is actually growing. Only a couple of years ago, I think in 2020, they only had something like 4,000 or 9,000 members. Now, however, they have 140,000 registered voters. That is a tremendous growth in only 5 years. And it is also true that the figures saw its steepest increase soon after the Queen passed away. With all due respect to Graham Smith, the founder and CEO of Republic, it is my opinion that if Republic had a more charismatic leader or spokesperson, we may have been talking about 1.4 million people and not 140,000. Having said this, I can tell you that there are far more supporters for an elected head of state than just the 140,000. It is just that not everybody wants to join or are prepared to go stand in a group and chant, "Not my king, not my king." It is also my opinion that the longer Charles remains in the public eye, the more and more Republican other groups will actually grow. He's not popular, and Charles has far too many skeletons in his own closet in order to actually step up and do what needs to be done. I heard someone say on a video while I was in the bath a couple of morning ago, that the monarchy is in more danger now than it has ever been. He said one more scandal and the monarchy will free fall like a lead balloon. And I have to agree. I actually think I said as much in a previous video. Charles's only saving grace at the moment is that many people, say 30 or younger, actually have no clue what Charles had gotten up to as the Prince of Wales, but many of us do actually remember. So the .gov poll putting King Charles as having something like 61% approval rating is likely not accurate and is likely and more realistically something like 51%, not anywhere close to the Queen's approval ratings, which often hovered near 80%, especially earlier on. Okay, I'm fairly certain that Charles's next new scandal will involve Harry and Meghan, or just Harry or just Meghan. It is indeed coming. Look, I know Meghan's, as ever, is not doing well, but for Netflix to publicly, I mean, we all knew they had lost interest in Meghan and they offered all kinds of other deals and they weren't going to renew the deal they had. We knew that, but nothing was said publicly. But for Netflix to now publicly distance themselves from Meghan and her brand is indeed telling me there is more or much bigger things to come. And we also know that Archwell is currently under administration. And you can say what you want, but they are now under administration with a fiscal sponsor. And people who are saying, oh, but they're sponsoring it themselves. No, they're not. Meghan is talking absolute shite. She does not know what it means to be under administration with a fiscal sponsor. It means they were going under, or they did something which wasn't quite legal, and instead of having a court case, etc., someone else took over the administration, fixed what needed to be fixed, and now they're continuing work under the auspices of this company or group or people or person or whatever. They sort of keeping an eye on them now. That is what it means. So Meghan can spin it any which way she wants to. But Archwell is or was in trouble, and as never is indeed in trouble at the moment. And as a result, Harry and Meghan are in trouble, financially and otherwise. But to get back to the subject, I heard that Harry and Meghan paid about 20 million, or put about 20 million of their own money into As Never, which I believe is more or less the amount of money which Harry got for his book, if I remember correctly. So the fact that Harry and Meghan had to fork out 20 million does not say anything positive about their current financial situation, because it does not appear as if Meghan has made any profit or had even started to pay money back into their coffers at all. So the word is out that Meghan may or will or may join Jackie O's podcast, Her Best Life, while in Australia. I don't know, maybe it's just her manifesting again, I don't know. But anyway, other than that, Harry and Meghan's itinerary for their trip is a huge secret. Now note the sarcasm, but it is known that they will visit Sydney and Melbourne. By the way, I heard that Sydney and Melbourne will be virtually empty on the dates of their visit. I'm only joking. But I did hear that a couple of Australians have already collected some slogans to shout at them. Things like, "How's your father, Meghan? Go home, Harry. What do you know about Andrew, Meghan?" And a couple of other things I cannot repeat on here. I also heard that Meghan was invited to the Sydney Harbour Yacht Club, but she had to politely decline because the invitation coincides with feeding time. And Harry gets very upset if he does not get his milk on time. Okay, friends, I'm going to go. 2 mathematics tests on the menu for tomorrow and Thursday, so Dragon Man's nerves are not doing too good. Actually, not good at all. So I'll see you tomorrow. My friends have dispersed on a fact-finding mission, so give them a little time and let's see what they can find. One thing they are looking into is whether it is true that Harry was arrested for a DUI in 2022, among other things. So God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, take care and remember, please stay safe. Bye.